It is 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition. For tonight's headlines, we have the Egyptian Authority orchestrated a rescue operation for an oil tanker attack to west of the town of Hodeida. For the international scene, Gaza in the grip of a cash crisis in the Middle East. Welcome to our newsroom. Djibouti's Prime Minister holds talks with the Mayor of Shanghai as part of a visit to China. Prime Minister His Excellency Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed held talks with the Mayor of the city of Shanghai, Mr. Gong Zhang. Discussion is focused on promoting partnership relations between the Republic of Djibouti and the city of Shanghai in the tourism sector, notably with a view to increasing human exchanges and more particularly youth exchanges, the driving forces of the nations via partnership in the field of education and culture. In view of the performance index, which places the port of Shanghai in first places in the world ranking of container ports, discussion is on strengthening ports cooperation were also at the heart of the meeting. To this end, China and Djibouti Economic Forum will be organized on September 3 under the auspices of the President of the Republic to present Djibouti's business opportunities to an audience of 500 Chinese businessmen with the participation of the Djibouti Chamber of Commerce. Djibouti's ambassador to China, Abdullahi Miguel, who attended the meeting, explained that he had invited Djibouti City Hall to strengthen a decentralized partnership with the city of Shanghai. Shanghai, the economic engine of China's growth, is an economic, cultural, and industrial megalopolis occupying a major place in the world economy and accounting for over 20% of the country's GDP. The Port and Freeport Authority successfully coordinated the rescue operations of the Greek-flagged oil tanker Sorian early yesterday evening following an attack to the west of the city of Hodeida, Yemen. The vessel was hit by two unidentified projectiles before being struck by others. Also, the attack caused no casualty. The Sorian remains immobilized and impossible to maneuver, carrying 150,000 tons of crude oil. The vessel poses a major environmental risk to the flora and fauna of the southern Red Sea. A potential spill could have disastrous consequences for the marine ecosystems of our region. Aware of the urgency, the Ports and Freeport Authorities is calling for immediate interventions by the regional organizations for the conservation of the environment and the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden to protect the marine environment and mitigate the impact of this attack. The 29 crew members made up of sailors of various nationalities were evacuated to safety. They include the Russian captain, 24 Filipino sailors, 3 Indian sailors, and 1 Nepali sailor. All crew members are safe and sound and were taken care of as soon as they arrived at the Djibouti port, care by the relevant authorities who ensured their safety and well-being. For his part, the captain of the Port and Freeport Authority, Muhammad Musa Abar, said that 8 p.m. this evening, the Port and Freeport Authority orchestrated with the remarkable precision the rescue operations of the oil tanker Sorian attacked by the coast of Hodeida, Yemen. The Greek-flagged vessel carrying 150 tons of crude oil was hit by 3 unidentified projectiles. The impact also causing no loss of life left the Sorian immobilized, unable to maneuver, and in a critical situation. The incident poses some major environmental risks for the southern Red Sea region. The potential oil spill poses a serious threat to the marine ecosystem with the devastating repercussions for local flora and fauna. Aware of the stakes and the risks involved, we immediately requested the interventions of the regional organization for the conservation of the environment of the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. Their rapid mobilization is crucial to limiting the environmental damage and coordinating the necessary cleanup actions. As for the crew, all 29 members on board have been safely evacuated. This diverse crew includes the commander, a Russian nationality, 24 Filipino sailors and Nepalese. As soon as they arrived in the port of Djibouti, the local authority took charge of them, guaranteeing their safety and well-being. We will continue to closely monitor the situations and coordinated effort to minimize the environmental risks associated with this incident. And listen now the magazine concerning the climate change.
Le développement d'un pays dépend de sa recherche scientifique et de son implication.
The Minister of Higher Education and Research said that the Great Green Wall for the Sahara and Sahel, commonly known as the Great Green Wall, is the African Union's flagship initiative to combat the effects of climate change and desertification in Africa. The initiative aims to transform the lives of millions of people by creating a mosaic of green and productive ecosystems in North Africa, the Sahel, and the Horn of Africa. Initially conceived as a long 15-kilometer wide corridor running 7,800 kilometers across the continent through 11 countries, the wall will run from Dakar, Senegal to Djibouti, covering approximately 117,000 kilometers or 11.7 million hectares. The landmark initiative, officially launched in January 2007, is evolving into the set of interventions designated to address the challenges facing the people of the Sahel and Sahara. The project, introduced in 2002, is facing criticism over its strategy and utility. Desertification and climate change are the global challenges being already a particularly vulnerable area to climate change. Sub-Saharan Africa is now facing many challenges, often interconnected, such as cyclones, floods, drought, desertification, and land degradation. In the Sahel, as an estimated 29.2 million people are food insecure, and of which 9.4 million are likely to experience this extreme food deficit. It is in this difficult context that the African Union launched the Great Green Wall project in 2007, a project that aims to halt desertification and land degradation in the Sahelan zone and improve the living conditions of the population while preserving agroecosystems and agropastoralists in 11 countries in the Sahara and Sahel between Senegal and Djibouti. But a project of this magnitude requires the effective collaboration of all the key players in the implementation of the Great Green Wall project. The scientific community is the latest to join the flagship initiative of the African Union. In terms of scientific research, Djibouti is committed to becoming an open scientific platform to better guide our mitigation and adaptations policy, said the head of state at the opening ceremony of the OREC Observatory. I propose to follow an extract of his speech. The Center for Studies and Research of Djibouti is a public institution of a scientific nature. The main missions of CERD is the implementation of research and technological development programs within the framework of choice and priorities set by the Ministry of Higher Education and Research in line with the objectives set by the government. The CERD includes 6 specialized institutes, including the Institute of Life Sciences, which is responsible for the implementation of research programs filed combating desertification and environmental preservation. The Republic of Djibouti was honored to host the launch of the International Research Network of the Great Wall. Under the high patronage of Prime Minister Abdelkader Kamel Mohammed, the Minister of Higher Education and Research launched and on Tuesday, April 25, at the Campus Key Hotel, the International Research Network of the Great Green Wall, coordinated by the Institute of Research for Development. This network of scientists aims to provide a framework for mobilizations for sustainable management of land and territories in the Great Green Wall. This seminar brought together for 2 days the key actors of the implementation of the Great Green Wall project, including a group of 115 researchers representing 7 countries out of 11 countries involved in the Great Green Wall. The Minister of Higher Education and Research, Dr. Nabil Mohammed Ahmed, reviewed the launch of the networks and the involvement of the researchers, the recurrence and resurgence of impact despite various actions plans to fight, reminded the urgency of a regional approach based on a common commitment, concerted actions. The NGO EVA and SOS Sahel closed a three-day symposium on sectoral public policy for Djiboutian civil society organization. The symposium focused on three strategic areas: water, sanitation, and climate change. The three-day debate focused on civil society's commitment to sustainable development in our country. The three-day symposium workshop saw the participations of over 60 associations from the capital and the 5 interior regions. For the interior of the country, the regional elected representatives and executives from the various ministries involved in this team. The aim of the symposium is to strengthen the commitment of civil society to the sustainable socio-economic development of our country. The UNICEF representatives recalled that the aim of the symposium was to equip the civil society organization with the ways and means of demonstrating greater creativity and commitment to environmental protection and access to drinking water and sanitation. The Director of Environment, Idris Ismail Noor, said that the aim of the symposium was to equip civil society organizations with the ways and means of demonstrating greater creativity and commitment to environmental protection and access to drinking water and sanitation. The president of the EVA NGO, Ahmed Ali Muhammad, emphasized the role of civil society in the country's sustainable development, which must take ownership of its civic responsibilities and its contribution to the country's socio-economic development. On Thursday, August 2024, the Campus Hotel was the venue for a workshop to present the assessment of the national context in terms of searches and rescue at sea, part of the project to strengthen the Djibouti Coast Guard capacity to carry out maritime border surveillance and search and rescue operations piloted by the International Organization for Migration and funded by Japan. The workshop was attended by His Excellency Harakeshi, Ambassador of Japan to Djibouti, Colonel Waas Omar Boghore, Commander of the Coast Guard, Tanya Pacifico, IOM Head of Missions in Djibouti, the Sub-Prefect of Holanga, the Secretary General of the National Human Rights Commission, as well as the representatives of the Ministry of Justice and the National Police. The aim of the workshop was to present the conclusions and remarks of a national expert on the national context in terms of search and rescue, both legal and operational, the cooperations of the various agencies involved in this file. The workshop continues throughout the day with detailed presentations by the experts on the day's themes. In her opening remarks, the IOM Head of Missions, Tanya Pacifico, stressed that search and rescue at sea is a major challenge in Djibouti and requires effective coordination, adequate resources, and cooperation between different actors to save lives and protect migrants. Taking his turn to speak, the Japanese ambassador to Djibouti pointed out that coordination between actors contribute not only to humanitarian assistance for migrants, but also to the safety of navigations in the Bab el-Mandeb Strait and the Gulf of Aden, and that Japan provides humanitarian support for migrants as well as support for maritime safety. This project aims to strengthen the search and rescue capabilities at sea as well as an operational capacity of the Djibouti Coast Guard. The Coast Guard commander recalled the Colonel Waas Omar Boghore recalled that the Djibouti Coast Guard has always placed the searches and rescue operations at sea at the heart of its actions and has never ceased to strengthen its operational capacities in terms of both equipment and human resources to accomplish its missions in this fight. He also made a point of thanking through the Japanese embassy, the people and government of Japan for their unfailing support, which has resulted in the realizations of numerous training projects and equipment donations, including patrol boats, and saluting the international organizations for migration for their vital support for this project. The Academy East Africa of Djibouti, the first accredited football school in the Republic of Djibouti, has been on the road since Thursday morning in Damerjog with a strong sports delegation made up of 55 young trainees aged between 7 and 18, accompanied by 5 educators and 4 parents volunteers for this latest trip in its summer program. Djibouti's East Africa Academy has decided to combine sports and leisure in addition of organizing youth tournament. This last summer trip will include a series of visits of the mythical towns crossed by the old Djibouti-Ethiopian Railroad, namely Shebele, Gubeto, Holhol, returning to this first stopover in Demerjoga. The first part of the tournament kicked off on Thursday afternoon with the group phases in two-legged matches. Then at around 6 p.m. the rankings were established for each age category, and tomorrow, Friday, we box forward to the final phases. For the international scene, the 10-month war has devastated Gaza's already fragile economy, displaced a large part of the population, and caused considerable damage since the start of hostility. The majority of the unemployed Palestinian workers have found it difficult to access their money. Many banks are still not operational in the Palestinian enclave. For months, long queue of several hours have formed in front of the branches and outlets that are still operational. Withdrawal ceilings are imposed on Gazans. Displaced people are struggling to access to the major savings, while the price of foodstuff and basic commodities continues to rise. It takes a week to access an ATM. The main Palestinian Banking Association announced this week that all banks in Gaza had ceased operations, marking a further deterioration in living conditions in this war-torn enclave. And this is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.